Yeah, 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Hey, can y'all hear me out there? Against all odds. 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 Against all odds.
The podcast.
Shout out to Rockhound Detroit Lions, man. My pride.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Rise and Grind Morning Show. We are back, man. It's a day off yesterday. Unexpected day off, really. I wanted to get on last night, but I didn't. So, hey, welcome to the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Since you guys found us, you know where to keep track of all your Lions news and rumors, daily takes, you name it, all the NFL stuff that's happening each and every day. It's right here on the Rise and Grind Morning Show. You found the right place. Do us a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you toggle on notifications and hit that like button this morning. If you want the ads to be off, we need the likes to be on. We're going to be right back here in 15 seconds. We're going to get loaded, man. Full day, NFL office attacked by a gunman. We're going to talk about that briefly. One of the best ever is facing some significant injuries and health concerns, I should say. Trey Hendrickson potentially ends his holdout. No new contract. I'll tell you why. And Tim Twentyman, training camp day 8 observations. Lions updated Hall of Fame roster. The most important thing coming up here in just one more day. We have Detroit Lions football. Be right back. All right. If you haven't been to Pro Sports Zone, make sure you get in there ASAP. That's right. ASAP, man. Get all of your Lions gear before tomorrow, right? You got to be dressed up in a new jersey the day before the game. Wall-to-wall sports merchandise. You're going to want to get in there and see all the newest and latest designs in stock each and every day. Obviously, they only have the lowest prices and the best service. Make sure you visit John Yu there. What a wonderful dude, man. Great store. Everything you need. Wall-to-wall, 37700 6 Mile Road in Livonia. 10 to 8, Monday through Saturday, 12 to 6 on Sundays. Pro Sports Zone, man. Get in the zone. Get your Lions gear today. Good morning, Eric.
Hey, good morning. One more day.
One more day, man. 36 hours, whatever it is. It's going to be a rough day for me between today and tomorrow. But once that's over, I get to enjoy a little bit of football.
Yeah.
So, off yesterday. Some news popping out of training camp. Mixed articles. Did you ever find the other article by chance? There was
which one?
One that was kind of conversely saying that the offensive line wasn't looking good.
No, I did not find it.
Okay. Maybe we can find it here in a moment. But so this morning, I want to talk about the NFL office that was attacked briefly. I don't want to spend forever on it. I think you guys know how I feel about violence and everything in America, obviously in your homes. It's not needed. It's not needed. This was, this is heartbreaking to hear about this stuff, you know, that this guy's suffering through whatever he's suffering through and kind of taking it out on the NFL. And I didn't understand everything that happened with this at the very beginning. I just saw the headline and then I'm like, what in the world is going on here? But I wanted to highlight Roger Goodell's message, at least this morning, and kind of walk through it and then get your comments on the whole situation. So here's what Roger Goodell had to say on the attack that happened on the New York offices. He says, I want to take a moment to reach out to you all following yesterday's tragic events. He says, our hearts go out to all of the victims and their families. We are deeply grateful for the first responders and medical staff who acted so quickly and continue to provide care. Our thoughts and prayers remain especially with our colleague who was impacted. He is currently surrounded by his family and members of the NFL community, and we are all continuing to hope for and support his full recovery. For those of you based in our New York office, please plan to work remotely at least through the end of next week, August 8th. The office will remain closed during this time. And we ask that you do not attempt to enter the building until we confirm that it is ready for us to return. We are strongest when we come together and support one another to provide space for our community. We will be holding a virtual town hall tomorrow where we can connect, share, and support each other. More details to follow. This has been a challenging time for our entire team. Please continue to take care of yourselves and one another. If you need additional support, do not hesitate to reach out to your manager or HR. We are here for you. Thank you to all of you for the compassion, care, and support you are showing to one another right now. Eric, man, this was some crazy news that, I mean, it hit my phone like a lightning bolt when I see, active shooter in NFL offices. I'm like, what is going on? There's been some crazy events the past couple of weeks. This is one that obviously sent shockwaves not only across the league, but I think across the country. Like nobody is untouchable in this development. I mean, obviously I was deeply stunned, like I'm sure many of you were, deeply saddened. Obviously, another attack on American lives. It's just, I don't know how to be more outwardly progressive about the situation other than I can't stand it, man. I can't stand the violence in America, especially towards our own people, towards other humans. I don't care what race, religion, or creed you are. Like, it's just not, it's not needed. But the fact that this came at the light of this gentleman potentially suffering from CTE, said he carried a note in his pocket or had a note that he had CTE, was blaming the NFL even though he didn't play in the NFL. So, Eric, give me your thoughts on this whole situation here.
Man, it reminds me of the Walmart thing up in Traverse City. And like the guy up in Traverse City, one of his classmates from high school went on Facebook the other day and had this really long explanation of what happened to him when he was a kid in high school. He left on his lunch break and went to go smoke some weed with some kids. Well, they either put something in his weed or gave him some really hard drugs, and they left him in a car. Okay. Well, no one could find him the next day. And finally, the kids that had given him the drugs were like, yeah, he's in a car over there. And apparently it scrambled his brain. And so it explains a lot of things, that this guy just was never the same. He was put in a home and just was never a normal human being from then on out. And it sounds very similar to this, that this guy had some big hits in high school, and then it sounds like maybe he played in Canada somewhere doing something, and then figures he's going to blame the NFL for having CTE. So it's very apparent that there was some mental health issues going on that needed to be taken care of, needed to be seen by someone. And it's really sad that there's not enough help out there for people with mental instabilities.
Yeah, so I want to make sure that we preface, or at least frame the fact that there's, these alleged acts and things, these things that have been speculated, especially with the guy up in Traverse City. And I mean, what an unfortunate event. I mean, you always hear the horror stories like, don't do drugs, because if you do it once, you never be the same ever again. And, for the people that have dabbled, they're probably still fairly okay today. But then there's these cases, right, that come up. But I guess focusing on the CTE aspect, I mean, this is not the first case of a former athlete, a former football player, former NFL athlete that has turned to violence. And I mean, I couldn't even probably recap how many times it's happened, or, it's happened a lot. And for whatever reason, I think the most important thing here is to your point, like, they need more access to help, right? They need more access to, and I think the NFL was trying to do that, after the whole CTE lawsuits, the class action, lawsuits. They're trying to give these guys, the ability to seek help, medical help. I don't know if it's enough. It'll probably never be enough, but they need to do something. I mean, I think that if this doesn't shake Roger Goodell to his core right now, that, dude, you need to do something more. You need to give these guys more opportunity to get the help that they need, and especially early. I know that you can't find out if you have CTE until you're in the grave, right? And they take a look at your brain after the fact. Hopefully that changes and they're able to identify it. But I don't think that it's a big mystery that when you see a guy that is totally normal, in their 30s and they leave the sport, and then in their late 40s, you can tell that some of these people are just totally different. You always hear and I hate it when people make light of dementia or Alzheimer's, and CTE is kind of right in line with that pathway. I'm not a doctor. I've read, studied a little bit about it just because it's part of the NFL, and obviously dementia, Alzheimer's, having to work with people in my family and other families. It's like you would never make light or joke about it, but you can tell when someone's not totally there. And I'm sorry, if you're in your 40s and you just got done playing football 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I think that points the arrow straight back at the NFL, at the game of football. What do they always say, man? You're in 100 car crashes every game. However many snaps you play, that's a car crash. And if you think about it, even a fender bender, 5 miles an hour, you could break your neck. Just getting jarred the wrong way. But I know I'm off into a tangent now. I guess what I'm trying to say here is NFL needs to do more. This should have shaken Roger and everybody to their core, that they're not untouchable.
Positive it did. It sounds like there's a lot of changes going to be happening in New York there at their building.
Well, obviously my thoughts, prayers, wishes go out to the family member of this individual and all of the family members, NFL employees, other employees of that building. They're not going to be okay, man. I've never been in a shooting situation, like an active shooter situation, ever. I can't imagine what it would do to people, if you're on the opposite end of that and having to deal with that, or at least the understanding is that person was coming for you. He was coming for anybody that they could find in that office. Those people aren't going to be right for a while.
Yeah.
I don't think the August 8th is going to be enough time for these people to recover. Let's just put it that way. So hearts, prayers go out to those all affected, man. I get deeply affected by this stuff because it's just like, man, we're humans. Like, come on. Like, when are we going to stop the violence and stop the misinformation and the disinformation? And it is so bad. And it's in sports. Forget politics, right? That's bad. That's a trash heap in and of itself. It's infected our own sports. Like the pastime that we try to run away from all that negative energy, right? And I know what they say, right? We're distracted because we're watching football. Yeah, it's a big distraction because we're trying to enjoy the day for the 3.5 hours that we get of watching our team on a Sunday or a Monday or whatever day. And yeah, it's a great distraction to kind of get you, happy again and having fun and smiling and having some good energy. It's a great distraction. I just wish it would all stop, but it's I'm going to say it, Eric, it's the clickbait. It's the people that say that they're insiders when they're not. It's all these falsehoods that get spread even about our own team. It's all the negative energy, even about our defensive end position in Detroit. Like that stuff, it gets to me. That's why you'll never see me go the other direction and just try to print stories because it'll sell. Like I highlighted an individual earlier, an actor that had a powerful message that it's in the the landscape of media now. It's about being first. They don't even care if they're right or correct or accurate anymore. It's about being first. That's what media is today. They just want to be first. Forget it. Forget about it being accurate. That's not what we're going to do. But anyway, good morning, everybody. We're going to try to move on to brighter pastures this morning. I hate to kick off, a segment in this fashion, but I got to do it to you one more time. Unfortunately, there's a very powerful individual in the sport of football that is also battling some serious medical conditions, and he has been for quite a while, and that is Deion Sanders. Now, I read about this the other day, and I couldn't help think of myself and Megan and all of those of you that are in the chat today that have battled cancer. There's a reason why the one day, the warrior for a day is so important to me. There's a reason why the Rockhound Cancer Foundation is so important to me. And it's because it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. Cancer doesn't care. It doesn't care at all. And to see a guy like Deion Sanders that has battled blood clots that started in his legs or in his feet, and he ended up, losing some toes. I mean, think about that for a moment. This guy was scorching the earth with his legs. His feet were pushing a 4.2 40, fastest man, in football, next to Bo Jackson. And he starts to lose toes. And he's hardly able to walk anymore, uninhibited or without some sort of assistance. That's a story in itself, right? Whatever that karma could be, if there's karma involved there, there you go. There's a story. But then it gets deeper. That this spring, Deion Sanders was diagnosed with bladder cancer. He had a bladder tumor. This was during a routine checkup. He underwent surgery and announced that he had his bladder removed. Complete bladder removed. So now, here, I got to look something up, but because I forget the name of something here. A cystectomy, right? Having your bladder removed. So in a situation where a person doesn't have their bladder, often after a cystectomy, they will have undergone a procedure called a urinary diversion. This creates a new way for urine to be stored in and leave the body. Like this is serious stuff, right? You have a little conduit, that they call the urostomy. And this is the most common way. And it involves using a small piece of small intestine to create a tube. And then the ureters, the tubes carrying the urine from the kidneys, I know we're getting deep off of medical crap today, are attached to one end of this piece of intestine. And then the other end is brought to the surface of the abdomen, creating a small opening called a stoma. And then urine can drain continuously through the stoma into a small, plastic pouch called a urostomy bag or appliance. Man, this is major stuff. I mean, you've seen the people that have had colon, surgeries and colons removed, and they have like colostomy bags or whatever they're called. Like this is the exact opposite, but same thing. But I wanted to highlight Deion Sanders this morning because this is a dude, like I said in my post the other day, he's been at the top of everything. Best cornerback in the league, right? One of the best punt returners in the league, one of the fastest men alive, in football, but alive, period. One of the fastest men. Has had everything, right? Extremely successful in the NFL, extremely successful as a coach. Kids that are extremely successful at the sport. And he's just going through it. And so I don't care if you're at the top. Someday you could get knocked down to the bottom in a hurry. But this guy's not giving up, man. His quote was this simple. He said, God is good. When people hear the C word, it's usually a life sentence, but not for me. Because I know that God got me, it's beaten. That's a wonderful, statement by him to kind of give anybody that is going through it. You can get out on the other side. You just got to fight for it. He's still going to coach, Eric. When you heard this, what did you think?
That's crazy that he's still going to coach after going through all of that. And to even think about that, man, I think at his age, I would be done. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you just hang it up and say that's enough?
Yeah, I probably would have after losing my feet, losing my ability to walk right. That wouldn't have slowed me down. I would have found another way. But having it now, he's got to have a porta potty on the sideline. He says that he has to wear Depends, and now he's got a cystotomy bag or whatever it's called, an appliance to catch his urine. I mean, this is a man that was probably, he was at the tippy top of he's very conceited. I mean, we can't be shy about that. He was a very conceited individual, and he wasn't shy about that. And now he's just trying to let people know, get checked out. You can fight it, right? I'm going through it. Hey, you're going to see a porta potty on the sideline. I got to wear Depends. He doesn't care, what it looks like to the public. He just wants you to go get checked out now. So if you've never listened to me, on how important it is to go see your doctor tomorrow, right? Get some blood work done. Listen to Deion. because this dude is he's a big ball of energy, man. But I look up to the guy because of how impactful, how professional he's been through everything, but how impactful he has been to the kids that he has coached, and the message that this is sending, you know, that even though you're going through some hard times, you can get out on the other side and you can still live a pretty damn, you know, good life. And I mean, I think I'm living a pretty decent life. You know, I get to, you know, start a channel and work with, you know, Lions fans and cancer survivors, and started from nothing, man, but here we are, right? And it all started because I wake up after cancer like, this is something that I have to do. I have to do it. I have to talk to people about it. I have to tell my story, because I feel like this story, and I kept hearing it, man, like, tell people your story. Keep telling people your story because it's impactful. I just thought it was a story like everybody else's story. And maybe it is. But here we are, and this story is all over the place. Anywhere you look, everyone has a story to tell. Just listen. Just listening to their story for 5 minutes will change them, I promise you. So, anything you wanna finalize here on Deion Sanders?
Yeah. Just everybody, if you have a chance, go get checked out. Go see your doctor. My dad was just here over the weekend, and one of our friends, Woody, that I've known my entire life. I mean, he was there, my dad's friend, even when I was born, before me. And apparently Woody had not gotten checked or went to a doctor at all for 40 years. Smokes, drinks, everything. And apparently he had really bad diabetes. He's losing his feet. He has no feeling in his hands, and he is now on dialysis. And it's all simple stuff. Just go to your doctor, get a check. Just like me, I'm type 2 diabetic. I go to the doctor every 3 months, and I get checked, and I get my blood sugars done, and I've gotten my stuff down because I'm going to a doctor. If I had not been going to a doctor and I just ignored all the signs, the little things that were happening, man, I probably wouldn't have my feet right now. So go get checked. Just go see a doctor. I know insurance and stuff is not a fun thing to deal with right now, and paying for a doctor, but if there's any way you can go get checked out once in a while.
Well, that's another reason why, you know, this channel is so important. You know, I was kind of going through what this channel has done, you know, since I've been here, since I've been doing it. And we're getting to the point where we're going to be able to help out some people pretty soon. And that's what it's all about, man. And my overall goal with the Cancer Foundation is early diagnosis, is getting people the opportunity to get some free checks, right? Here's what I want everyone to do in the chat right now. Just ask yourself this, because I asked a doctor this and they were blown away. When is the last time you went to a checkup with your primary doctor and they palpated your thyroid? They took their fingers and they literally felt your neck, feeling for bumps and lumps. Ask yourself that, because my answer was never. And I've gone to the doctor thousands of times since all of this, but hundreds before cancer, and never once. And the doctor that I was talking to this day, and he's like, you're right. He's like, I even go to, you know, my primary. I can't ever remember a time that they've done that. Matter of fact, they just sit there and they just write notes. No one touches you anymore. They used to walk in and they would check your heart. They would, you know, feel your neck and your throat, all that stuff. It's hardly ever done. So that's the real reason why this is so important, because beyond football, right? Beyond the white lines here, I want to help people get an opportunity to get some blood work done, get, you know, the thyroid scan done with an ultrasound. This is going to be just done at an event where we get to come together and talk and have fun. So you can get this stuff done at, you know, free of charge. And then if some, you know, bad tests come back, they'll get you hooked up with the right people. So that's what this is all about. And it costs a lot of money to do that. You know, you've seen the blood bank buses. Well, this is going to be a blood bank bus plus an ultrasound kit or 5, which are extremely expensive. And that's what we're working towards. We want to take it nationwide. And I'll tell you why this started, or what made me think of it. So, you know, Charlie Charlie Sanders, man, you know, when he started his foundation, that's what really inspired me. I gotta pull some information about him real quick.
We got a
go ahead.
$9.99 super chat from Gina, and she says F cancer, and then later in the comment she says, we caught my cancer early. If I would have waited just a few months for my mammogram, we would be having a much different conversation. Get your scans.
There you go. And I'm glad you're with us today. So it's Have a Heart, Save a Life program through the Charlie Sanders Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization established by the late Charlie Sanders. And he did all of this, right? Going through all the testing, getting everybody tested. And I can't remember the exact quote that he had said when he was the day before he died, but he was getting checked, or shortly before he passed away, where then he ended up with cancer. And he kind of had a comment like, how fitting, you know, that I'm trying to help others. And this is how it ends for me. What an inspiration he was. I'm going to have to re-highlight him and redo the show that I did before, talking about all of this, because this is what inspired me. There was a kid that collapsed on the basketball court, young kid, in high school age, ended up passing away, had a heart condition. And what Charlie was saying is, look, man, how many of these kids out there, and it was this kid, and I can't remember his name right now. It was this kid that passed away that inspired him to start this Have a Heart, Save a Life, and to start doing EKGs for high school kids. Because he said no one is really taking these kids seriously. Like you might get a little physical, but no one's checking your heart. No one even knows if you're healthy enough to be playing sports. They're pushing you to play sports. They're pushing you to have activity, but they really don't know if you're healthy enough. And then it was one after another kept happening throughout, high schools across the nation. You were hearing, these kids dying on the football field or the basketball court of heart conditions, just collapsing. And it's happening in all ranks, right? NFL, college, everywhere. So this Have a Heart, Save a Life Foundation that started to get early diagnosis, but also give these kids an opportunity with an EKG to even know if they're healthy enough to play sports. That's what inspired me. When I started thinking about all this, I started thinking about Charlie Sanders and what he did. And that's where it all started for me. So, all right, let's move on to some news. Before we do that, Eric, give us a quick rundown of what YOOPERLITES is.
All right. YOOPERLITES.com is your one-stop shop for everything rockhounding, whether you're going to the UP, downstate, any of the Great Lakes, going rock hunting anywhere. I don't care if it's Wyoming or California. If you're into rock hounding, go to YOOPERLITES.com today. Get the best UV lights and long wave, mid wave, and short wave, and all the things you need to go rock hounding.
All right, YOOPERLITES.com. Make sure you check them out after the show. Good stuff. Support a local business. It's the best way to do it. Okay. Let's see what's on this list. Your main headlines of the day. So we're going to start doing kind of like three main headlines of the day. We already discussed one. But let's talk about one of these bigger ones that just popped. So you guys can all forget about Trey Hendrickson, at least for right now. Right? Yep. Matter of fact, let me say that again. You should have never even thought about Trey Hendrickson in the first place. It was never going to happen. Eric, tell us what happened.
So Will and I have been discussing this for months and months and months, that Trey Hendrickson is not going to be a Detroit Lion. Well, last night, reports came out from Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter, and they both say that today, Wednesday, Trey Hendrickson is going to fly from Florida up to Ohio, and he is going to report for training camp. Now, we don't know if he's going to be a hold-in, kind of like the Alex Anzalone thing went for a little while, or if he's actually just going to start practicing. But, Shamar Stewart signed his contract, and now they're saying Trey Hendrickson has yet to agree to a contract extension with the Bengals, but he has decided to go back to camp. And here may be some reasons why. Rumors suggest that the reason why the 30-year-old edge rusher opted to return to training camp is that so he could create a positive impression on the Bengals organization to reignite contract talks, according to Ben Baby of ESPN. Well, I was also reading that one of the reasons he may be coming back is this. Because of the collective bargaining agreement between the league and the NFL Players Association, Hendrickson can be fined a maximum of $50,000 a day for each day missed at training camp. So maybe it's starting to hit him in the pocketbook and he needs to make some money. So maybe it's time he reports for camp.
You know, I don't think that that's really the case. I mean, I get that's one reason why they're going to print that article is to say that, you know, he could be fined. But I've highlighted this too, that in, you know, the past year, 2 years, whatever it's been now, that when players hold out or hold in and they're trying to get a new contract, what usually happens, those fines get forgiven. They give them the extra $500,000 or whatever it was that, you know, that they missed 10 practices. They get it back in their contract. So the players usually hold all the cards there and they get a lot of that money back. I tend to think that maybe, you know, there was another thing that you had said earlier off air that, you know, Trey wanted to set a good example for camp. You know, doesn't want to be a part of the problem. You had mentioned that, but also I think with the young buck signed, with Shamar Stewart done, Trey probably doesn't want to lose much of a footing to him, because I think that Shamar is going to be a problem, and in a good way. I think he's going to be a problem for Trey Hendrickson, and I'm betting on the fact that Shamar Stewart is going to be a really good football player in Cincinnati, and he's going to be pushing, you know, Trey Hendrickson for his position, which is, you know, the leader of that defense, in short order. It may not be this year, it could be next year, and I think that that's why the Cincinnati Bengals are now even more so holding back. They were holding back before the draft because they probably felt that they were going to be able to draft a defensive end. Shamar was my pick to Cincy. That's where he went. Now, I think it's just a case of Trey doesn't want to be forgotten about, and he doesn't want to give up any snaps to this kid. You know, he wants to make him earn it the hard way is what I'm thinking. That's my opinion. That's my take. I'd love to hear your take in the comments, obviously, later on in the chat right now. Do you think that Trey Hendrickson is back because of money, or do you think he's back because he doesn't want to give up? He doesn't want to give up any spot to the Rook. I think it's the Rook.
Yeah, I highly doubt that he's coming back because of what this article said, that he's just trying to get talks started again. Talks are going to go on whether you're at camp or not. I don't think they're going to be like, well, we're not going to talk to you again until you're back in camp.
The funny thing is the Bengals don't like to talk
at all for anything.
Right? According to Trey, they're not talking at all. Yeah, we'll see. But I guess if you're there and you're kind of in their face, they don't have anywhere to run now.
Yeah,
that's kind of a good way to think about it. He's going to get these guys cornered. An interesting cut. So the other day we highlighted Christian Wilkins, and my goodness, did this turn out to be a hornet's nest that's been kicked a few times. What in the world is going on for the Raiders? And I listened to Mike Florio on this whole situation. It doesn't sound good for the Raiders. It doesn't sound good for Christian Wilkins. So he was released after the team reported to HR kissing a teammate on top of the head. Well, first and foremost, I'll say this. I thought if you are a whistleblower, so to speak, or if something that could be considered sexual assault happened, that stuff's not supposed to be talked about by the HR or the team. That is supposed to be under wraps, lock and key, sealed up. Is that not the case anymore? Or even anything that goes to HR, unless it is a NFL rule that was broken, which I'm sure this could fall somewhere in line with an NFL rule, can't be talked about. So how is all of this surfacing? That's what I don't understand. Now, I haven't figured out where this is surfaced from. But I have to just say, man, if that's why they fired this dude, they let him go because he kissed a teammate on the top of his forehead. I've heard it many different ways. If this teammate was bald, well, that happens all the time. Everyone knows that a bald head is good luck, right? You kiss it or you rub it for good luck. Everybody knows that. That's also what I've heard echoed throughout the halls of the NFL on this issue. Locker room stuff happens all the time, right? Weird stuff happens, things, it's locker room, right? It's why they call it locker room talk. But there's also the things that happen that are playful in nature in the locker room. Now, I'm not saying you should be running around grabbing each other's junk and, doing all that stuff. But these guys, they're slapping each other, on the butt, whatever. That's just part of being a sports player. Maybe that's changed over the last 10, 15 years, but I know that when I played, there was all sorts of weird stuff going on. It's just not weird from the sense of anything, egregious, but just stuff that maybe you just don't do in an office setting, right? You don't go up to the buddy in your next cubicle over and slap him on the butt and say, yeah, man, let's get these Excel spreadsheets done today. No, that's not happening. But in football, that happens. Here was their statement. They said that they decided to move. It was in the best interest of the organization to move on from Christian Wilkins, as he has been informed of his release from the team. That the Raiders said in a statement shared on social media on Thursday that the franchise has a commitment to excellence on and off the field, and that the team had reportedly not been impressed by the incident, which had been reported to HR and investigated internally. I just don't get it. I really don't. I don't understand it. I think that they were looking for a way to get rid of his contract, period. I think that the Raiders were trying to walk away from him no matter what. He had this injury. They felt bad about his contract. His recovery didn't go as planned. And now they just want a way to get out from underneath it. I'm sorry. This is just politics to me. I think that they're trying to save tens of millions of dollars any way they can. Now, I'm not going to discredit what happened to this individual. Whatever the case may be, whatever happened behind closed doors, in a playful nature or not, I'm not going to discredit that. But I think it's pretty silly. I really do. And I think that this is just a cop-out from the Raiders. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I would have a couple of questions. Where and why? Or, where did this happen? Was it in the locker room? Was this in a meeting room? Was this in the showers? If it was in the showers, it's pretty inappropriate. What was said? They're not saying what else was said, what these people were saying to each other. Was there a fight in the locker room after this? Was there a fight in the showers after this? We don't know any of the details. We don't know. We just have this little bit of speculation from the Raiders HR. So to me, there's just not enough information to know what really went down. They have all the information. We don't. And they deemed it serious enough to let this guy go. And now there's $35 million hanging in the balance. He wants to be paid his $35 million, and the Raiders don't want to pay it. So they are with an arbitrator right now, I believe, looking at this whole case. So he may just be like Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, where he gets this big giant contract and his former team pays him, but they let him go. So he can go play for anybody he wants for $1 million.
Yeah, he can play for the league minimum. The thing is his injury hasn't fully healed. So
yeah,
the way I understand it is Wilkins won't play this year anyway. Like, no matter what, it'll be 2026 before he hits the field again. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't magically get cured here in the next, 3 to 6 months or 3 to 4 months and make it onto the field. He could. He absolutely could. But, the issue with his foot, it was a Jones fracture, I believe, in his foot that just hasn't healed properly. Wilkins won't be playing anywhere anytime soon. And quite honestly, yeah, to your point there, the NFLPA did file a lawsuit. They did file a grievance, I should say, against the NFL and against the Raiders. So that'll play out in court. That'll take 2 to 3 years, right? It's not going to end soon. I mean, the dude got a ton of money up front anyway. It's not like he's hurting. I'd trade bank accounts with him any day. Anyway, just weird stuff, man. Weird stuff. Not a great start to the day, right? I mean, here you were talking the NFL, office, gets attacked by a guy that didn't even play in the NFL. You've got Deion Sanders battling, a great battle, and he's winning. Hendrickson is holding out or holding in, if you will, in Cincy. It's over. That's about the best news to kind of start the day. This Wilkins kissing incident. Yeah, I mean, you could say that the Wilkins is kissing the Raiders goodbye. Ha ha ha. Just kidding. It is what it is. Let's move on to the Detroit Lions training camp observations here by Tim Twentyman. This is a segment that we like to call the Training Camp Connection. And we're going to connect with Tim Twentyman here on what he sees. Now, yesterday I was supposed to be at practice. So a lot of you already know this. I didn't make practice yesterday. It was my birthday. I usually always go to the Lions practice if there's one on my birthday, which there usually is. I woke up yesterday, my entire, like even this morning, but my entire face was like swollen. My eyes were swollen shut. And I'm having some sort of an allergy attack. Now, my allergies have been especially rough this year, and I don't know why. That's why I always have a little towel next to me. But yesterday, man, I wake up, my eyes are just shut. So a lot of steroids, just kind of hanging out, being lazy yesterday. Didn't do a whole lot. Kind of needed the day to relax. I felt a little better this morning. Obviously, that's why I'm in. But yeah, my face is still pretty swollen. Swollen up. So I missed it. And there was a player yesterday that left practice that it's not good when your second year guy, Terrion Arnold, leaves practice, potential hamstring injury. And this is not a hamstring injury that involves a holdout or a hold in. This is a legit hamstring injury. I don't know anything more than that right now. I don't know how long it's going to take for him to get back. We don't know if this is a few days, a few weeks, a few months. Hamstring injuries could be anywhere from 24 hours to 24 weeks. You never know. But let's just walk down with what Tim Twentyman had to say. And I got to be honest, I didn't read this yet. I didn't read any of this yet because I wanted it to be fresh in my mind, have a fresh reaction this morning. I've heard nothing but great things about this defense already. And I seen that when we were both there. Eric, you know that the first thing that came out of my mouth was they look just as good, if not better. And Aiden looks great. So let's just start with what Tim Twentyman says right off the get. Dominant day. Here's what he says. The team took part in a live scrimmage on Tuesday at the Meyer Performance Center, giving the majority of the reps to the starters and key reserves who aren't expected to play in Thursday's preseason opener. The undisputed star of the scrimmage was Aiden Hutchinson. He recorded 3 third down sacks. Hold on a second here. Got to get myself set up. Hold the phone. Just 1 second. Mm-hmm. All right, there we go. He recorded, let me see. He recorded 3 third down sacks to end drives and had what would have been another quarterback hit and multiple pressures throughout the scrimmage. All right, this is huge. You guys have heard me talk about this numerous times. Did Derek Lewis just drop in?
He did.
Okay, give me 1 second, Derek. Let me get through this paragraph and I'll get right to you. This is huge because how many times have I talked about this? That I don't care about sacks. I care about TFLs more unless those sacks are what? Drive killers. If it is a true drive killer, we're talking a third down or potentially a fourth down sack that ends the drive. That's big. The fact that Aiden had 3 in this scrimmage is huge. Depends on who he was going up against too. Was he going up against Panay or was he going up against Skipper? That's what I need to know, and I wasn't there, so we're probably never going to find out. If this was against, go ahead.
It was against Skipper.
Then I'm not as impressed. I'm sorry. All of that, I was riding high right there. And then I hear it's against Skipper. Look, Skipper's good. but he is nowhere near a starting left tackle. He is nowhere near Penei Sewell. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's barely sniffing the dog poop on the back of their shoes. And I'm not saying to be mean against Skip because I love Skip, but I'm saying of a talent-wise, he's nowhere near the type of talent that Decker and Penei Sewell are. Still good that Aiden's getting that feeling back. Still good that he's getting into the backfield. But this needs to come against, top tier guys. And that's my only gripe with Aiden, is that the majority of his sacks that come against, third tier tackles and third tier guards. Go back and watch the games. Go back and watch every sack by Aiden, and it wasn't against first tier tackles and guards. That's my only gripe. Otherwise, I love everything about him. All right, so moving forward, he had he looked like he was an even better player to start camp than one who was on his way to being Defensive Player of the Year candidate before the injury last year. Look, Aiden's going to be on a tear this year. I think that Aiden is shooting for the moon, like he's already talked about. He's going for it all, and I would say go for it all, but let's make sure that you're not playing with too much freedom to where you put the other guys in a bad situation. And I hope that Aiden wouldn't do that, but I don't think he would do that either. So give us your take on that, and then give us the rundown here on the next segment, which is the important piece of the day.
The part that I like about Hutch having such a good preseason here, and hopefully they don't put him in at all. I hope he doesn't get in at all in any of these preseason games. I want everyone that we play against to think that we're going to need to double team him. We're going to need to triple team him, because what that's going to do, that's going to open up things for someone who is trying to emulate Aiden Hutchinson, and that is Ahmed Hassanin. And if you look at the depth chart, Ahmed is all the way up to second team now. So when we were there the other day, he was going with the 3s and the 4s, and this week, now he's going with the 2s. So he's moving up the depth chart, and it'll be very interesting to see if Aiden Hutchinson getting double teamed means someone on the other side is going to be single teamed, one-on-one with the left tackle or the right tackle, and have a chance to actually get to the quarterback. So this might work out very well for us, especially early in the season. And then this,
that's a good point there. So the fact that Ahmed is all the way up to the number 2s, I mean, I'm glad that he's there. I think that puts him as, probably the fourth guy on the depth chart, at least for right now. I would say that no matter who you are, what team you are, if you're going one-on-one against Ahmed, you're still not going to have, you're still not going to have an easy time. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's, how do I put it? It's not like, hold on here. I'm trying to fix something in the background. It's not like Ahmed's an easy win. I think that he brings his own, situations to the offense, and you put him in the right position, he's going to win. All right. So what's next?
All right. Up next, the offensive coordinator, John Morton, is going to do everything he can to get the ball into Jahmyr Gibbs' hands in 2025. And Will and I saw this last Saturday, and deservedly so, as he's a terrific young talent at the running back. But don't forget about veteran David Montgomery, Demo. With the offense struggling early in Tuesday's scrimmage, it was Montgomery who gave them life in some tough and explosive runs to move the ball. Montgomery said he's entering the season with a chip on his shoulder. Morton might have to look to get both backs on the field together some too. Montgomery is still very important in this offense. And I believe that, listen, Demo is just as much, if not more important than last year and the year before. This guy is the glue that puts our running room together. If we were to put Gibbs in on every single play, the first 3 downs, and only use David Montgomery as a backup, our running game would not be the same. Yes, he did really good. Gibbs did when Montgomery was out at the end of the year. But even when it was just Gibbs, he still got some help from Craig Reynolds. You know, those hard yards, those 1 yard runs. There's some of that, the dirty work. And David Montgomery is great with the dirty work. And that's what I love about him. And I love that he's got a chip on his shoulder this year. And he's out to prove something. He got injured last year. He didn't get all the, he didn't get to get all the pieces finished that he wanted to do last year.
Yeah, I think that, to your point here, David Montgomery obviously is a big key to the cog here for the Detroit Lions, in that it's a 1-2 punch for a reason. David brings a different style of running to the game. He's a different back.
Yep.
I know that people have tried to put him and Gibbs into their own boxes, but I don't know if you really can, because I've seen David do just, as many things as Jameer is capable of doing, and vice versa. Jameer being able to do the things that David is doing, which is, the short down yardage, running between the tackles. Gibbs can do it all. And so can David. Matter of fact, I really liked watching David last year in the pass game. I thought that he was a big threat in the pass game coming out of the backfield. And I think we're going to see more of that. And if we do, I think that we're going to have more explosives, on the backs of these guys early in the season. The next segment here is defensive day. The defense was awarded 2 points for every stop during the scrimmage, and they began that morning 10-0. They had a 10-0 lead before the offense started to get it going, and finished the day with a couple of touchdowns. Hutchinson with 3 sacks. Jack Campbell had a sack. Brian Branch was all over the place. He also had a sack. Quarterback pressure and passes defended. Anthony Pittman, Trevor Nowaski, and Pat O'Connor had sacks. The offense may have finished ahead on the scoreboard at the end of the day, 16-12, but the defense was the story of the scrimmage. This is huge. Like, everything that I've been hoping for and telling you guys that we were going to see this season, which was more linebacker play, getting into the backfield, more blitzing from the linebackers, it's happening. Jack Campbell, Pittman, already mixing it up. Obviously, with Brian Branch down in the box a little bit more, he's able to free fire. I think that we're going to see a lot of work out of these linebackers this season. Your practice report for the day, obviously Terry and Arnold left the scrimmage early, being evaluated for a hamstring injury. That's just not good. Obviously, we need to see Terrian back. Hopefully there's a report that comes out yet today. I haven't seen anything that he'll be back soon. Obviously, he's not going to be playing in the Hall of Fame game. First TD drive. So after a punt, a missed field goal. Let's see. We had after a punt, missed field goal, punt, and punt to start the scrimmage. The first team offense put a nice drive together on their 5th possession. The drive featured 2 first down catches by Amon-Ra St. Brown, a first down catch by Sam Laporta, and then a nice 10-yard run for a first down by Montgomery, which then set up Montgomery to punch it into the end zone from a couple of yards out to give the offense their first points. That's big news, because it's not great news, the fact that the offense is struggling, but they're struggling against one of the best defenses in the league. Let's just be honest here. I'm okay with our offense struggling against a defense that is going to give a lot of teams fits. What should give us all a little bit of peace at the end of the day is that the offense finished the game, and they were able to score more points than what the defense was, able to take away. The one thing that I had said about this defense early in Eric, which, we'll get your take on it too, is I feel like this is going to be a year where we're going to depend more on our defense than our offense. And I'm not saying that the offense isn't going to be explosive. I'm not saying any of that. But I think that we're going to have to depend a little bit more on our defense at times to get those takeaways, to give the offense a little bit more of an opportunity. And that was because I felt like the defense is going to let up a little bit this year, even though I still feel like they're going to be one of the best. We've got some injuries. We have, a young offensive line with, 2 new guys starting, on this offensive line. And it's not as it's not led by as many veterans as it used to be. So I think that we're going to maybe lose a few points this year on the offense because of that. I'm not saying that we still won't have a dominating offense, but let's just say instead of scoring 30 points a game now, maybe it's 26. And our defense we've got some guys that are out. Levi's out, Aleem's out, Rodrigo's out. So, and Wingo's, in his second season, he's out to start the year. So we're missing some pretty good football players. Carlton Davis is gone, and in place we have DJ Reed. So you've got some holes to fill this year. They filled them, but I still think it's going to take a little bit of time for everybody to gel and for everybody to kind of turn it around, if you will. So I think early in the season we will need this defense to give us a few punch outs, to give us a couple of interceptions on the offensive side of the football, and the offense has to put points on the board. They have to. Your take on the first TD drive, and then take us into the quick turnaround.
It's nice to see that they're starting to gel a little bit. When we were there at training camp, the first team offense was having a really hard time running the ball. They were doing good passing the ball, but running the ball, they were having quite the stiff time. And what I noticed about this is something you don't see in this first touchdown drive. You don't see any interceptions to end those. It was punt, miss field goal, punt to start the thing. So it wasn't interception for a touchdown, interception. So that I like to see. So I'm fine with everything else. They'll get it together. The offense is fine. And then the quick turnaround is veteran wide receiver Tim Patrick talked to the media on Monday and said he was disappointed with how he was playing early in camp. He said he felt great physically and had a good spring, but hasn't been having the kind of impact he expected early in camp. Well, a day later, he put the offense ahead of the defense in the scrimmage with a nice touchdown catch in the back of the end zone after Jared Goff rolled out of the pocket. That's the kind of impact Patrick is looking for. And that's what he did last year too. If you remember his first game getting a touchdown, he got not one, but 2 touchdowns in that game. And he is kind of like that secret weapon. He's not going to get the pass on every play because he's got Amon-Ra, he's got J-Mo, he's got Demo, he's got Gibbs, he's got Sam Laporta. That's your main 5, right? So he's kind of the forgotten number 6 weapon on offense. So it's kind of nice that he got the touchdown yesterday and it wasn't one of the main stars.
Going through some of these pictures.
Yeah,
you can kind of see the energy. I love that picture of J-Mo right there.
Now, did you get to see the Jenga that the players were doing after practice yesterday?
No, I didn't. I didn't watch I didn't watch anything yesterday.
They set up a big giant Lions Jenga, and they're like, who's going to make it topple? And all the different players are coming up, and doing it. And it almost went. And then J-Mo gets down there and he does it, and the whole thing falls. And he's like, oh, they set me up. It's not my fault. It was hilarious, man. If you get a chance, go watch it. It's on the YouTube for the Lions.
Maybe we'll have to bring it in. If you have a link, you wanna throw it on the sheet.
I would have to find it. I don't know if I have YouTube.
It's good to see John Gruden out there, man. That's yes. So he was out there on the 28th, right?
I guess he was there for 2 days.
Was he there yesterday too?
Yep. Yeah. He was going to spend a couple of days with the Lions at camp for 2 days.
Oh, that's, like other teams, they hire people to come out. Maybe John Gruden was kind of being some extra eyes.
Well, he's been friends and worked with John Morton for 20, 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
John Morton's been around for a long time because John Morton was a wide receiver, and then he got into coaching, and the whole time Gruden's been around because Gruden was with the Packers when Morton was a wide receiver for them.
So yesterday, Jake Bates had a good morning, man. He was missing a few field goals left in warmups before scrimmage. That translated over to the scrimmage as Bates missed his first 2 attempts from 54 and 51. Wide left. Bates' last field goal attempt from 60 yards was right down the middle with room to spare. This dude's been kicking some bombs in camp. Mm-hmm. He had a 63-yarder the other day. Yep. I don't like the fact that he's missing, if you're missing left in warmups, you would think that at some point you're going to adjust your stance, your motion, something. You've got to adjust how you're lined up. because it obviously followed him into the scrimmage. That's not what you want to see. If you're out there before the game getting warmed up and you're missing left, I mean, I've never been a kicker, so I don't know if it really matters. I mean, I think of golf. If I'm missing left, well, I'm probably going to point a little bit more right. You know, maybe that's just the way my swing is that day. Maybe that's just the way his leg is that day. You know, kind of like a golf club. It's just following a path, and maybe your path is just a little bit off. Maybe the heat is getting to you. Maybe the humidity is getting to you. You just need to aim the other way a little bit. So I'm glad that he hit one at least, and one big one. I'm hoping that we don't need to rely on him for some big field goals this year, but I have faith in Jake Bates. Third tight end, one of the position battles to watch is the third tight end role behind Laporta and Brock Wright. Though through the first 8 practices, veteran Shane Zielstra has shown to be a consistent volume pass catcher for the second team offense, but there's still a long way to go in that competition. Zielstra's had a nice start to the camp. You know what I'll say about that is last year he had a good camp too, and he was let go. So I put more stock in what they're trying to get out of these tight ends versus maybe what they're doing in camp. If they have a certain reason to have Yeboah on the roster, which is as a blocking tight end, he's a much better blocking tight end than Zielstra will ever be. I could see him making the roster simply just because Yeboah is a better blocking tight end. Does that make sense to you? Or do you think that they care about the pass catching, which I don't, because I don't think that Zielstra is going to be out there to catch passes. That's Sam Laporta's job. I think that Brock Wright's job is to block. Mm-hmm. I just have this feeling that they're going to have more blockers, you know, as tight ends versus pass catchers, because Sam Laporta can do all that.
But what if Sam Laporta goes down? You do need a second tight end that can do some catching. You know, you got Brock Wright that's more of a blocker, and every once in a while he gets a pass, kind of like when he leaked out from the right side to the left, he's wide open and he catches that pass against the Jets. My thing is they brought in Yeboah, the great big tight end, to be a blocker also. So are they going to keep 3 tight ends? Are they going to keep 4?
Well, they'll definitely keep 3.
Yeah, you think 3?
Well, they're at least 3. But that's a good question. Will they keep 4? I don't think they're going to be able to keep 4 this year when they keep 6 receivers.
Okay.
That's my take. Derek Lewis, man, good morning to you. Give you a quick shout out here. He said, thanks for the training camp tickets. But more so, thank you for all that you, he says, thank you for all you do for Lions fans, the Rockhound Detroit Lions family, and most importantly for the cancer survivors. I sincerely appreciate and admire you for it. It's not just me, man. It's everybody here that's a part of this channel, which, like I've always said, this is your channel. This is for you. This is by Lions fans, for Lions fans. Forget the part that, you know, independent media. This started out with one reason and one reason only. And that was to be, you know, as a Lions loyal member for 27 years now, in the family, longer, like 60 years in the family, I wanted to bring, you know, some energy from a fan that has been on both sides of the coin, you know, from a very young age, watching this team. So I'm heavily invested from that perspective. I've been through it all, just like you guys have. Now, I haven't been through it as much as some of the older Lions fans in here that have, you know, been watching this team since, you know, the 50s, 60s, or 70s. But I've watched it all. We've had some pretty good seasons, and now we're starting to see the best of it. But I started this because I wanted to be a bridge between the Lions fan and the team. I wanted to bring some positivity, but most importantly, some honest integrity, you know, about what is really going on with the team. I got sick of all of the clickbait that I was seeing. There was things that I needed to do in my life. You know, like I said, after I woke up after cancer surgery, it was, man, I have to do this podcast because 1, I got to learn to talk, you know, better again. And 2, I wanted to help, you know, cancer survivors and cancer warriors. And so it's blending all of these things together. But it's your channel. I'm just here running it. The media part of it came second. Like, that was, eventually I wanted to get, you know, media credentials. We have the NFL media credential. Still working on the Lions. It could take a while. The Lions are like one of the only teams that don't do independent media from what I found. Doesn't mean that someday we won't get an opportunity, but I don't know. Maybe I'll have to go work for Fox News or not Fox News, Fox 2, or one of the other guys in Detroit as a freelancer just to get a credential. I mean, if I have to do that, I will. But I don't want to have to do that. But that's the goal, man. And thank you, and thank you for highlighting the fact that we actually do give away training camp tickets on this channel. I know that there's some people out there that say that it's all a lie. We don't give away any training camp tickets. I have given away over 200 tickets now in the last 3 seasons. This year was the least amount that I've given away. But now we have people that are even writing in and saying, hey, I have extra tickets, man. Put them towards a cause and give them out to some people. So I will have some extra tickets, I think, coming up for the August 6th practice. So we'll make sure that those get into somebody's hands as well. Anyway, good morning to everybody that just joined. Thank you for joining the Rise and Grind Morning Show, brought to you by Rockhound Detroit Lions, Rockhound Sports Media. Eric, what's next, man? What's on your list today?
All right. When is the last time that you remember an NFL coach dispensing punishment to his players and making them run laps? Like, when's the last time you remember that? I remember it very vividly, and it wasn't so much laps as it was this made up hill of that would have been
the winningest coach in NFL history.
Yes,
for the Detroit Lions, Matt Patricia.
Yes, so
he was very
Matt,
successful.
Yeah, he was so successful with this punishment for players, right? Well, one of our rivals, the Green Bay Packers, Matt LaFleur. Tempers boiled at Green Bay Packers training camp on Tuesday, with Coach Matt LaFleur dispensing some old school punishment after a scuffle between 2 key players. So,
who is this?
Matt LaFleur. On Tuesday, tempers flared at Green Bay Packers training camp, and it was capped by Matt LaFleur kicking left tackle Rasheed Walker off of the practice field and telling him to run a lap. And Walker said, I haven't run a lap since probably like freshman year of high school, end quote. Late in practice, defensive end Kingsley Ngbare appeared to get under Walker on a bull rush. Walker held him off, and Jordan Love completed a pass to Romeo Doubs. Ngbare disengaged from Walker, but Walker did not and pushed Ngbare to the turf. Commotion ensued, and Walker and the number 1 offense walked off the field with LaFleur in pursuit and yelling at Walker to take a lap around the field. Walker was stunned. And tight end Tucker Kraft and the rest of the offense joined Walker in doing laps. So,
wow. So, you know what's weird? And I know that we were going to touch on this with old Benedict Johnson, which, why don't you throw that one in real quick? And then I want to give you my take because, just talk about Benedict, and then we'll rewind on all of it.
All right. So sticking with this same theme of kicking players off of the practice field, guess what Benedict Johnson did today? So new Bears head coach Ben Johnson wasn't messing around Tuesday with one of his rookie offensive weapons, and that would be Luther Burden. Now, Bears rookie Luther Burden was kicked off the field and chewed out by Ben Johnson after issues at the line of scrimmage during team drills per multiple reports. So the rookie wasn't lining up correctly after he'd missed some of camp. Now, Burden has missed time this offseason with a hamstring injury and only recently came back. But he has a ways to go to catch up to veteran wideout DJ Moore and the other receivers like Rome Odunze. So he had a very quick ramp-up period, they're saying, and Luther Burden has already worked his way into some first-team reps during 11-on-11, but yesterday he lined up wrong multiple times, and Coach Ben Johnson kicked him out of practice. Who does this sound like?
All right, I'm coming back. Hold on.
Yeah, it reminds me of another coach in the NFC North. Hey, there you go. You got your hat on.
Yeah, no, I had to go bring my dog out real quick. So I didn't hear what you said, but did you finish the whole thing on Ben Johnson?
Yep.
Yeah,
and
so what I said this morning when we were talking about this, I'm like, you know what's funny? Is that Dan Campbell does this a few days ago, a week ago, whatever it was, in camp. Who did he kick? Who did he send to the showers? Is it Morris Norris?
Yeah, I think so.
And then he stopped practice a couple of times because guys were getting a little testy, right? But now you've seen it or heard it from the other NFC coaches, NFC North coaches, kicking players out. I mean, making a guy run a lap, dude, that's hilarious to me. That is not the way to get your team to perform. But you know what I loved about what the Packers did? Is that they didn't just let their tackle run. They all ran with them.
Yeah.
They all, took this as a responsibility. Like, no, this we're all together here. That I loved. That is the epitome of teamwork, right? And chemistry and building camaraderie and doing things that way. That's what you'd want to see. If we were sitting here and Dan Campbell had, God, could you imagine if he sent Penei Sewell out for a lap? Could you imagine that? Now, there's obviously a big difference between Enabare and Penei Sewell, but imagine if he sent Penei Sewell on a lap and the rest of the offense sat there. That would be a bigger story to me.
Yep.
If the rest of the team didn't follow him and run with him, because what that speaks volumes to is they respect, right, who that player is and how important he is to the offense. So at least that's something good that came out of camp for the Packers. But I just think it's hilarious, when I heard this thing about Ben Johnson, kicking wide receivers out of practice, LaFleur making guys run. I'm like, are they just following in the footsteps of Dan? Like, are they trying to materialize the same energy as Dan Campbell? Mm-hmm. It's a copycat league. I mean, I know this is nothing new, about having guys run or kicking guys out of practice or something like that. But yeah, I love his answer. The last time I ran was high school, ran a lap. Yeah, you don't hear that stuff. But that's Patricia, man. So that brings me back to the same point. Is LaFleur on the hot seat? What do you think?
I think he is this year. I think he has everything to prove because he's starting to turn it into Tomlin. He makes the playoffs every year. He's, has a winning record every year, but they just can't get over the hump. They've won one playoff game in the last 3 years. So it is time to Pooper get off the pot with him, right? I would think so. I would be getting sick. I know a lot of Packer fans are like, come on, either get this done or get out of here. We'll get somebody else to get the job done. We have the team. We're the youngest team in the league and blah, 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 blah. So I do truly believe his seat is starting to warm up there.
I think so too. I think I had my name wrong in the article. Hold on.
And you could tell that things are getting tense with him and that he is starting to boil over. Just the fact that he got in a fight with that fan at Ford Field during the flag ceremony.
Yeah, and he loses his freaking tickets because of it.
Yeah, but he lost his cool. As a coach, he lost his cool because somebody was yapping at him. The guy wasn't touching him. The guy wasn't getting up in his face. LaFleur went towards him. So to me, he's got something going on. He's got some real big pressure happening over there in Packerland.
I mean, he just has an attitude problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he has. But yeah, I think he's under some pressure, just to say the least. He's under some pressure. Yeah, so Rasheed Walker, he was drafted in 2022. He was a 7th round pick. And he's a starter this year, right? He's a starter for them?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's crazy that you look at his height, weight, and all that, 6'6", 313, 33 and 5/8 inch arms, and 10 and 5/8 inch hands. So I'm just going to say this, man. The fact that he was picked up And now he's getting an opportunity to start this early. One, like I said, the offense following him and doing the lap. I think that's incredible. A guy that is not a first round pick, a guy that's probably not a leader on the team yet. He's not a captain. But I want to throw this back into my news lap. This is his size is exactly why you take a risk on Manu. I know it's not on the sheet, but when I look at somebody like that and it's a 7th round pick, yeah, it's kind of a pick like, yeah, who cares, right? It's a 7th round pick. But if they get lucky and this guy really works out, that's a genius pick. And every coach, every GM, they get lucky every once in a while. Obviously, Brad is doing it more so than I think anybody else in the league. Maybe Howie Roseman is doing some things too, but I wouldn't say that Howie is as effective as a drafter as Brad. I think that the moves that he makes may be more effective than what Brad is doing, if that makes sense. And then again, maybe not, because Brad's made a ton of trades. Howie's been doing it for longer. But anyway, I guess the point that I'm making is this Rasheed Walker guy, that size, when you see guys with that size, they're hard to pass up. And Manu has that size. Could Manu have been taken in the 7th round? Maybe. Doubtful. Someone would have taken him in the 4th round, probably. All right, so what else we got going on here? Let me see. So John Gruden compares Jared Goff to Joe Montana. I heard that. But let's stick with the NFC North report here. You talked about the Bears. You talked about the Packers. What happened with the Vikings?
All right, the Vikings. Can Jeff Okudah be this year's Sam Darnold for the Minnesota Vikings? So Darnold was the number 3 overall pick in 2018. He earned the bust label after a poor 3 years with the Jets and wound up being traded before the end of his rookie contract. Darnold bounced around a little bit, and then he ended up signing a cheap 1-year deal with the Vikings as his 4th team entering his 7th season. Now, fast forward to Okudah. Okudah was the number 3 overall pick in 2020 for the Detroit Lions. He earned the bust label after a poor 3 years with the Lions and wound up being traded before the end of his rookie contract. Sounds pretty similar. Okudah bounced around a little bit more and ended up signing a cheap 1-year deal with the Vikings as his 4th team entering the season. So he went to Atlanta, and then he went to the Texans, and now he's with the Vikings. Last year, Kevin O'Connell and his staff, as well as the Vikings offensive environment, helped get an incredible career year out of Darnold. And this year, they hope Brian Flores and Durante Jones and the defensive environment in Minnesota can do the same for Okudah. And the early returns have been promising. Okudah, still just 26-year-old, has been working with the first team defense as cornerback 3 behind Byron Murphy and Isaiah Rodgers. That's a role that would come with significant playing time if he holds on to it. His physicality and athleticism have shown up on the field in practices, and every indication is he's working extremely hard to revive his career. I always thought Jeff Okudah had all the physical abilities to do it all. He really started coming on, and then I was at the game where he blew out his Achilles. And then he was just never the same player after that. And he ended up leaving Detroit and going to Atlanta. This kid, I think, has all the physical tools in the world, but he's one of those players that I think probably shouldn't have been taken in the 1st round. He's more like a Manu, who should have been taken in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round and then given time to develop. Why we took him in the 1st round, I still will never understand.
Well, it's because he was the best corner. I mean, he was the best corner coming out of Ohio State that year for the draft. He was not going to last until the 3rd or 4th. He wouldn't have lasted until the 2nd. Someone would have taken him. I just think it was a bad idea for the Lions to take him. But we needed a corner too, so I get it. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just the fact that I think he's the type of player that needed some time to season and really learn the pro game. And his physical traits just, they didn't give him the edge to be able to come in right away and be this dominant number 1 cornerback. So it doesn't surprise me that he's having a good camp with the Minnesota Vikings. And could that come back to bite us as Lions fans if Jeff Okudah ends up being a Pro Bowl type cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings?
Yeah, ain't gonna happen. There ain't no way, dude. I'm sorry, ain't no way. There ain't no way, guy. The 40-year-old guy, ain't no way. I need that soundbite. I had it. I lost it. I'll get it back. Ain't no way. That is gonna be the hottest soundbite of the season. Huh?
Look at the chat. Holy moly.
What happened?
Just look at the chat, Will. Trace, you're amazing.
I see a pink.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Trace, big $50 drop in the bucket here. Says, thank you for everything you do, Will. The Great Lions content, the Cancer Foundation, the giveaways, all of it. We all appreciate everything. Yes, it's our channel, but you made that possible for us. Thank you for that. You know what, Trace? You know how big of a supporter you've been, not only monetarily, but showing up each and every day. Like that's half the battle, right? To anything that you want to be great at in life, it's just showing up. And I think that this channel can be a lot better than what it is today. And that's partly because of Eric showing up each and every day, sticking to his schedule. There's a reason why, we're doing the things that we're doing, but it's because you guys show up, right? You guys show up each and every day. So it's a big applause and a big thank you to all of you guys for showing up. And Trace, I appreciate you being the leader of the mod crew, right? Every single day you're in here. As soon as that thumbnail goes up, you're in. You're welcoming everybody in, and you do a great job at moderating, the audience. Which, you know what? I don't think there's a whole lot of moderating going on lately. We just have a great community in here. There's, we don't have to kick people out and send them to the showers early like Dan Campbell or Matt LaFleur or Ben Johnson. Just a good group of people in here. So I appreciate all of you guys, and thank you, Trace. It'll definitely go to good use and in good hands, man. Thank you much. Appreciate you. Let me get you guys set up with a couple of audio clips here. I was trying to look up Jeff Okudah, where he was drafted. So 2020 round 1, pick 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gonna make an analogy here. The one thing that I'll tell you about Jeff that I think he didn't benefit from, and I got to look up the roster again, but I know this by heart, is he didn't have, one, he was walking into the COVID year, right? But he also didn't really have anybody to learn from. He didn't have any big time vets. And I think that's part of the problem. So when you look at what Brad Holmes has done, this is something that I've been saying forever. If you're going to bring in a rookie corner, you better have a veteran that can show that young pup the way. If you don't have a veteran that is good at what he does, not just some veteran, you don't just need a 4 or 5 year guy that can play the game. No, you need someone that's at or near the top of the game that can show this guy how to play the game, right? And how to be a vet, or how to be a pro, excuse me. Jeff Okudah didn't have that. He had Desmond Trufant, Amani Oruwariye, who was also new to the league. Who else did we have?
Had Darius Slay for a minute.
Was he there in 2020? I think he was.
Yeah, and then we traded him away.
We had D. Virgin, Daryl Roberts, Bobby Price, Alexander Myers, C.J. Moore, Tony McRae, Miles Killebrew, Chris Jones, Mike Ford, Justin Coleman, Tremaine Brock. These are all listed as DBs. Safeties, we had Tracy Walker, J-Ron Curse, Will Harris, and Duran Harmon. So, if I remember correctly, wasn't he traded in 2020?
Maybe Slay was gone already.
He might have been traded after 2019.
Yeah.
Because there was that whole thing coming down with Matt Patricia just being an absolute jerk, and him and Patty got into it. So yeah, he's not listed on the 2020 roster according to Pro Football Reference. Tracy Walker, Javon Curse, Will Harris. Yeah, I don't see him listed. But the argument is this: if you don't have somebody to work with as a pro, you don't have a mentor, I think it's tough, especially as a corner, because it is such a hard position as it is, and you lose confidence quickly when you're getting torched, which is gonna happen. And if you don't have a vet there to kind of calm you down and say, look, man, it happens, just shake it off, and don't let that happen again. Whatever you did wrong, correct it. He didn't have that. Now, I'm not saying that it would have turned out differently for Jeff Okudah to be a better corner, but I think that he had the traits. I think that he had the body. I think that he had the ability to be a really good corner. I just think that he came into a completely shitty situation. I think that's it. He was in a very, very bad situation. So, all right, let's get you guys lined up. Trace, appreciate you. Derek Lewis, appreciate you. Let's start off with some Kirby stuff this morning.
Intercepted. Kirby Joseph coming back to the 40. Kirby to the 45. Kirby to the 50. Kirby into San Francisco territory and taken down at the 42-yard line.
And let's get one more. Let's do another Kirby back-to-back.
Picked off. Kirby Joseph, number 7 on the season. He leads the National Football League.
All right, so if you don't know, you'll know now. When you donate to the channel, obviously the proceeds will go to Rockhound Cancer Foundation, number 1. Number 2, we do these little special call-outs, plays of the game, that, you're making a big play of the game. And so we want to give you a play of the game back, kind of jog your memory a little bit, kind of get you back into the game, if you will, back into that moment that, brings so many smiles and happiness to your face as a Lions fan of what just went down. So Fanatics has been having a pretty crazy sale going on, 20-30% free shipping, which please support John Yu and Pro Sports Zone first. But there was this thing on here I want to show you guys that I think I'm going to have to get. I've been looking at it for a year now, and I can't find it. Where is it? It's under accessories, I thought. While I'm looking for this, Eric, walk us into something else.
Let's see. Well, we have the first unofficial depth chart, but that would take a while to look through. And then there was John Gruden comparing Jared Goff to Joe Montana, if you can believe that.
No, I can believe it. Walk through that one, man. I think that's a good comparison, too.
So we even have a little video if you have that tuned up.
Oh,
so Jared,
no, I'm sorry. You needed a video?
Yep, there is a video there, too. I got a link to that. So Jared Goff has enhanced his reputation around the NFL thanks to his excellent play with the Detroit Lions. He's played so well that John Gruden is comparing Goff to a Hall of Fame quarterback. Gruden was a guest at Lions training camp this week. He was at camp observing and visiting with some of the team's coaches, including offensive coordinator John Morton, whom he raved about. John Gruden here at the Lions practice today in team gear says he still has the coaching bug and likes to see how Dan Campbell and the team operates in practice. And so this was, who put this out here? This was by Larry Brown and I don't know who he is.
Larry Brown, wasn't he a coach for the Pistons?
I don't know. But Gruden also spoke highly of Goff, who has been the Lions starting quarterback for the last 4 years. He compared Goff to Joe Montana. I hate to throw around comparisons out, but the continuous momentum that he plays with, he always reminded me of Montana from the days that I was with the 49ers, Gruden said. Montana is a Hall of Fame quarterback who is best known for winning 4 Super Bowls with the San Francisco 49ers in the 1980s. He was a 3-time first-team All-Pro and 2-time NFL MVP. Goff has made 4 Pro Bowls with 2 Los Angeles Rams and 2 with the Lions. He's also helped the Lions win double-digit games in each of the last 2 seasons, including a 15-2 season last year. Goff played in 1 Super Bowl so far and lost it. Montana won 4. Goff still has a lot of winning to do if he wants to close the gap with Montana, but it's still a very nice compliment in comparison from Gruden.
All right, I'll be honest. I love the comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And I do, but there's no comparison. with Joe Montana. I get what he's saying. You know, it's the body mechanics. It's the way that, you know, Jared Goff goes about his business. I think that from a mental aspect, you know, how he goes about the game, yeah, you could make some comparisons. How he throws the football, you could probably make some comparisons. But there's just no real comparison. I mean, Joe Montana was a lot more mobile than I think a lot of people gave him credit for being. But Jared is, in my opinion, one of the best quarterbacks to play the game. And he has been. And I would never want to go that deep into a comparison with Joe Montana. I think that Joe Montana will always live in my top 5 quarterbacks ever. Very fun to watch as a kid. But I would say that Jared Goff does a lot of things right. And I think that he is a quarterback that many teams wish that they had. I have a question to a lot of people in the audience right now. Where's all the Jared Goff haters? Any idea?
They gone.
They kind of shut the hell up, didn't they? Where's all the bridge QB talk? Can someone remind me if those people are still fans of the Lions? You know, the guys that, you know, that said that Jared Goff was no good and he was just a bridge quarterback and Hendon Hooker should be the starter. And I don't hear much anymore. But you know what those fans are still doing? They're still rooting on this team. And it's like I've said it before. It's like, man, if you're going to trash the Lions and you're going to trash our defensive end room and you're going to trash Brad Holmes, but then yet root for this team and then say that Marcus Davenport is potentially going to be dominant, but yet a week ago you were saying that Brad Holmes is trash and so is Marcus Davenport. It just doesn't make sense to me. We either are the most bipolar fan base in the world. I don't understand it because it's like 1 minute you can't stand everything, and then the next minute it's, oh, we're winning. Oh, we're winning. It's all good now. We've been winning. We've been winning with the way that Brad has put this team together. We've been winning with the same guys on this team. I don't get that. But I'm just glad I don't hear word one about all the Goff haters, man. I'm sure they're still there, but they've piped down. Here, I got your video.
All right.
All right, so this is Gruden, I believe on the 28th.
Well, I just like to see how they operate, honestly. I watch how they practice.
It's very rough audio.
You know, I can learn different drills. I see things that they're doing, and it just gets me going. I mean, I wake up in July and August, and I get the shakes. You know what I mean? It's just awesome to hear the pods popping, and the snap count, and see the guys struggling physically, fighting through stuff. It's just really, really a great time in my life. I spent most of my life doing this, and it's just really honorable to be back here. Well, I just like to see how they operate, honestly. I watch how they practice.
I got a question. What the hell happened to his hat? Does he have a bunch of hair gel in his hat that ruined that hat already? The hat's brown stained all over the place.
He's sweating. It's hot out there.
Yeah, but you don't sweat brown.
I don't know. Maybe he's had it for a while.
He got that hat as soon as he arrived. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. They gave him a whole package of stuff to be dressed up in Lion stuff that day.
Maybe they just dyed his hair red that day.
That's what I was wondering. Is it hair dye?
That might be some Just for Men.
Just for Men, some 5-minute wash. Well, it washed the hell out. All right, so let me skip down here a little bit. Talked about Deion Sanders, and I did have a video earlier from Mike Florio discussing the whole Wilkins thing, and I had a little statement here, but I'm not going to play the video. But the reason why I like Mike Florio, I know a lot of people dislike him, and I teeter, you know, on Mike Florio a little bit because I think like he's obviously he hates the Lions. He's a Vikings fan.
Yeah.
And that's okay, right? You as long as you can stay impartial, which I don't think some days he can. But the real reason why I listen to Florio, like I said before, is all the legal stuff. He's really good from that perspective, being a former attorney. And the way that he discusses Wilkins' mess and speaks to more than just what's on the surface, I think was I wish I would have played the video earlier. but I think that's what he really brings to the table is that he digs deeper. And there was something that he said in that video. Now, this isn't verbatim, but he had said that they will never give in to the narratives. Now, I don't know if that's perfectly true by Mike Florio, but it's kind of the same thing that I talk about, that we're never going to give in to the narratives. You're going to see all these narratives, about Lions. For instance, I just said this one the other day. Hendon Hooker gets third team reps. And these articles come out and they're trashing Hendon Hooker because he's getting third team reps. And then you've got people, insiders or beat writers, that are in there covering the team saying the same thing and saying that Hendon Hooker's trash.
Yep.
It reconnected though.
Okay. Had the ring of doom for a second.
So anyway, saying that he was no good, but then the next day he gets second team reps. And so when that came out, I was like, do these people really not understand how camp works? You've been covering the team for how long? Don't you understand that the second and third quarterback, which is Allen and Hooker, are going to trade places? They're going to trade places through camp until one of them becomes the eventual, second quarterback. That won't happen until a couple of preseason games. You might see Hendon Hooker listed as the number 2 right now, but then in practice, he'll be the second quarterback. One day, he might be the third quarterback the next day, or in practice the same day, they might get reps at either side. But typically in practice, you're in one slot or the other because they're moving so quick. It's like first team does this, this rep, or the first team will do this drill, second team, third team. Then they switch. They move on to a new drill. And it's the same thing. First team, second team, third team. Then they move on to the next drill. You typically can't get, spots. You can't get an attempt, at both sides of second and third team in the same day. It usually doesn't happen. So I just don't get it, man. But I'm glad that Florio said he's not going to give into the narratives, and he wasn't giving into the narratives about the whole Wilkins situation. But anyway, no presser today because the Lions have a day off. What are we missing today? What else did we want to cover? We talked about Wilkins, Hendrickson, John Gruden. Oh, Lions signed that running back.
Yes. So the Lions have signed a player from the UFL. And if you guys were listening last week, I told you that news has come out that the Michigan Panthers and 4 of the UFL teams are going to be moving this summer. So it's sounding more and more like it's going to be the Boise, Idaho Panthers. And they may change their name. Yeah, so it might be the Boise Beavers from what I hear. But the Detroit Lions on Tuesday announced 2 roster moves to their team. Detroit signed running back Jacob Sailors from the UFL and the St. Louis Battlehawks. To make room for Sailors, the Lions cut tight end Luke Deal with an injury designation. Sailor spent time with other NFL teams before being signed with the Lions, including with the Atlanta Falcons, the New York Giants, and the Cleveland Browns. He did not play in any NFL regular season games for the 3 teams. Sailors is also the second UFL player and second Battlehawks team member to be added to the Lions this week, with Nick Whiteside, a cornerback, who was added to the training camp roster after the team waived Stanley Thomas Oliver due to injury. Before his playing career with the Battlehawks, Sailor was a talented college running back for East Tennessee State from 2018 to 2022. His 5-year career with the Buccaneers, Sailors recorded 2 seasons of over 1,000 yards rushing and collected 33 total touchdowns. Sailor's best season with ETSU came in 2022 when he rushed for 1,317 yards and 15 touchdowns on 22 carries. Sailor has spent the last 2 seasons in the UFL with the Battlehawks and has seen great success. In 2 seasons with Sailors, he has rushed for 960 yards and 10 touchdowns with the Battlehawks. This past spring with the Battlehawks, Sailor ranked second in the UFL in rushing in the regular season with 499 yards and 5 touchdowns, as St. Louis finished in first place in the XFL conference with an 8-2 record. And now Sailor will be joining the Detroit Lions as like a 4th or 5th running back.
So forgive me, I don't remember Sailor's stats. I think he was like 500 yards in the season. Was he?
Yep.
Was he the one that you were talking about that you were surprised that the Lions didn't bring in, that he led the league or something?
No, so Tua Toa, so Sailor was the 2nd leading rusher in the UFL, and Tua Toa was the 1st. And he was with the Michigan Panthers, and the Lions brought Tua Toa in for a visit about 2 weeks ago, and they did not sign him. And the next day he had a visit with the Cleveland Browns, and they scooped him up. So I think that Tua Toa would have gotten signed by the Lions after this injury to Robichaud had he been available.
Yeah, I didn't hear what the final injury was on Robichaud. Did you?
Yeah, I have not heard anything yet. I just know that he's injured, so they needed somebody else because we have the Hall of Fame game. We have 4 preseason games. You need backup running backs for all this stuff.
All right, so I found this thing that I wanted to show you guys. So for the tailgate purposes, I wanted to get something that kind of made us stick out a little bit. So when we're doing tailgates, this is what you need to look for. If you see this guy flying around, he's like 8-9 foot tall. He's 8 foot tall. It's one of those crazy, things that it just flies all over the place, that you see on this
arm guy.
Yeah. So if you see that flying around, that'll be us at the tailgates. I think I'm going to have to get it. The other one was this guy, the Bigfoot.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, this giant Bigfoot with a football and a helmet, dressed as a lion. His name is Squatch. Might have to get him too. So anyway, if you see one of those 2 guys, it's most likely the tailgate.
I need the Sasquatch for my yard. That's awesome.
There's some people that have been putting out those big cardboard, cutouts or wood cutouts around here painted black.
Yeah.
And so when you're driving at night, you're coming around a corner and you got mailboxes on the other side of the road out in the country. And there's this giant Squatch next to the mailbox. The first time I saw it, it freaked me out because I didn't know it was a cardboard cutout or a wood cutout. I thought that I was about to have a Bigfoot sighting in Gun Lake. All right, so what's Dan Campbell's plan, man? Yeah, this is something that has been thrown around a lot this year. You know what Dan Campbell's plan is after losing 2 assistants. And your statement was something to be about or be like Metallica?
Yeah, so if you remember all the way back to when the Detroit Lions were on Hard Knocks, Dan Campbell, in a lot of his press conferences and in meetings, he quotes Metallica because Metallica is his favorite band. When Metallica came to town, they even went and put something on the coach's door. And he's a huge fan of Metallica. So am I. And if you remember back in the 1980s, the Metallica was riding high off of Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, and then tragedy struck. And their bass player, Cliff Burton, was killed in an accident. So a bus flipped over, he died, and everyone else lived. And he took the bunk that was normally James's bunk, and it affected him. It's affected him for the rest of his life. That if Cliff wouldn't have wanted that bunk, then it would have been him. And so when Metallica lost their bass player, he was the heart and soul of Metallica, right? He helped write a lot of the songs, and he was really the architect of the direction the band was going. Well, coming into off of a 15-2 season, Dan Campbell loses his top 2 assistants. He loses Aaron Glenn and, more importantly, Ben Johnson, the architect that was giving them all of these trick plays, all of this insight. And, he was the offensive coordinator of the year. So Dan Campbell is comparing losing his 2 offensive assistants to the same thing as Metallica losing their bass player. Well, what happened after they had to find a new bass player, right? Well, the whole world was like, oh, you're never going to find the right bass player. No one's going to ever be able to replace Cliff Burton. But then they found Jason. And his very first album, what did they do? They buried the bass. There was hardly any bass on any of the tracks. But then then Metallica puts out another album, and it's the Black Album. And what do? They feature Jason on the bass. And what happens next? They put out their best album of all time, their best-selling album of all time, the Black Album. And that album goes nuts. It breaks so many records and does so awesome. And Dan Campbell has been talking about how when he's replacing his offensive and defensive coordinator, this might be just like Metallica, where it might take them a little while to get going, but once they're going, they may put out the best record they've ever put out. So watch out, NFL. The Detroit Lions are coming.
So if I understand this correctly, I mean, so the analogy here is, okay, so you lost one of the best bass players ever to do it. You replaced them with somebody that, lesser known.
Yes.
And then, throughout the first season, okay, we're not going to highlight this individual a whole lot, but then we feature you, and we ended up selling the best record ever. So Dan Campbell said this. He said, first of all, Metallica did a hell of a job with what they did. He said they had to replace. It's not easy, but they did that, and that's why they are still who they are. They continue to evolve every year, every decade, just getting better and better and putting out hits. That's what I plan on doing, and that's what I did when I hired and promoted Calvin Shepard and John Morton. I'm very familiar with both of them. Of course, I'm going to have my spin on it. It will start with me and my influence on it, but I want these guys to coach and do what they believe in. We're going to be just fine. So I wanted to highlight that last statement by what he said. It will start with me and my influence on it. That is something that I've been saying this whole time. This is Dan's offense. It's what he brought to the Lions from the very beginning. He was the one that brought in Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn wasn't working out. Maybe he was going a little bit too rogue. Maybe he wasn't, earning the respect of the offense. I don't know, but it wasn't working out. Dan Campbell took that offense back over, and the team was just fine. We started to win football games finally at, the second half of 2022, and then he hands it over to Ben Johnson, right? I mean, so Ben Johnson was already given an opportunity, but he wasn't given a full opportunity. Dan was still calling plays. Dan was still heavily involved in the offense in 2022. And then Ben really took it over in 2023. I would say 23 was Ben's first full year. He did pretty well, right? Did really well. 24 is best year. But again, Dan will never cease to exist as a play caller, as an offensive mind for the Detroit Lions. That's what he does. But he's also involved in the defense. And the quote that I had the other day from Dan, which I don't have to share with you this morning, was on XM Radio, the training camp visit from XM Radio, where he said, I'm usually in the defensive room first, and then I go to the offensive room. And he spends a lot of time with the offense. So Dan is still heavily involved. It's not like it's just hands off. There's going to be some training wheels with these guys to start. Not to say that John Morton needs them. But Dan is, like he said, it will start with me. I think that's a great statement. He's going to have his spin on it, which means do what you want to do, coach how you want to coach. But at the end of the day, if I don't like something, it's my decision, and we'll make sure that it runs smoothly. So I think we're going to be just fine. I think we'll be fine. I really don't see a big let off. And the biggest reason why is we have the same players, and I think that the players mean more than the coaches do. If we had lost a lot of players and two coaches, then I think we have a problem. We didn't have that problem. All right, moving forward. There was a question in the chat, and I really don't know how to answer this, but I want to give it a shot. It was by Art Vandelay. And the question is, as soon as I can find it, I want to put it up on the screen. Well, I'm not finding it. But the question was something like,
I found it.
what do we think happened with Anzo? Here we go. Our Vandalay. What do we think happened with Anzo situation between DC and Brad Holmes and him? I'm going to pin the message there. It's a good question. We'll just talk this out for the last few minutes.
Okay.
First, I'll say this. I don't know. If anyone says they know, they're full of shit. Sorry, excuse my language. Nobody knows. We can only speculate. Now, Anzo, by the way, this should have been a big heading for me yesterday. I should have done a lot of videos, but I didn't. Anzo practiced. Like, he was in practice. No more hamstring injury. Funny how that happens, isn't it? It's funny. He had a hamstring injury for 3 or 4 days. Or whatever it was. I'm sorry. From, what was the day they did their conditioning test? That was like the 23rd, 22nd. It was that Saturday. You know, what a Saturday ago, 2 Saturdays ago. So for a week, he has a hamstring injury. Then he finally gets inserted into the offense on Monday or Tuesday. And he's practicing. So the question is, what happened? I don't know. But if I were to speculate, I would say this. Obviously, Anzalone is in his feelings. He wants to get paid. He feels like he's owed something for what he's done for this team. And I would say, yes, he is. I think that Anzo has been a huge part of why this team has turned around. I think he's had his hands in developing the guys. Like Jack Campbell's a good, really good linebacker, but would he be this good this quickly without Anzalone? I don't know. Is it mostly because of Calvin Shepard? Could be. But I still believe that your veterans on a team have more to do with success than they don't, especially if they're good football players. If they're veterans that aren't good football players, then yeah, they probably don't have their hands in it a whole lot. But Alex Anzalone has put this team on his back since he's been here. He has played, if not the most, very close to the most snaps on defense outside of being injured. He's played pretty well. I mean, guys all over the field making plays. So I would say what happened is he probably went to the team and said, look, you just gave Barnes a decent contract. I think that I'm owed at least something like that. And he's right. I mean, he's a better football player than Barnes. But again, we haven't seen what Barnes is going to be yet. I'm not hearing a whole lot about Barnes so far in camp. Right? I heard some stuff about Jack Campbell. I heard some stuff about Pittman and Nowaski. Haven't heard anything about Barnes. So I would say that he got in his feelings because he feels like he's owed something. I feel like he's owed something. I feel like they should have given him a bump in his contract, and this would have been a nothing burger. But I think that the Lions had a plan from day one, and that's why I put out the video a month ago that said that Jack Campbell was going to dethrone Alex Anzalone. The video's still there. And if you haven't watched it, watch it. I mean, this is a month ago that I was this is before the holdout, hold in situation that I put out this video. And I felt like that the plan was to bring in the youth, get the youth trained up and stick with the youth movement, mixed in with some vets, but they're not going to pay Alex Anzalone a huge contract to stick around with this team, especially at his age. So I think I don't know how it could be any easier said than I think that Anzalone just wanted a bump in his contract. He wants to retire a Lion. At least that's what he said. Maybe he only sees himself playing a couple more seasons. He just wants to win a Super Bowl probably and ride off to the sunset. I don't see Anzalone bouncing from team to team to team to team to team to try to win a Super Bowl. I don't see him doing that. I think that he loves Dan and loves his team. He loves Detroit, and I think that he wants to finish his career here. And to do that, he needs to get paid one more time. What do you think?
It's a tough situation because take the fan out of it. I think this is Anzo's last season. I think this is it. They want to go younger. They know that they're not going to get the production out of the young guys unless they play. And now they have Jack Campbell taking over the defense. Hand it to him. And now you can get some other younger guys in there. Derek Barnes, Nowoski, and whoever they decide to draft in the next few years. So I really don't see the Lions like letting Anzalone stick around past this season. And I also don't see them picking up a linebacker in free agency next year. If anything, they'll draft someone to bring up and be the next replacement for Jack Campbell or Derek Barnes when their contracts are up. I think this is a pipeline of you have to constantly keep going. Anzo did what he was supposed to do. He came in 5 years ago and helped turn this around. And if you go back to his first season, he had a lot of tackles, but man, he had a lot of missed tackles. And my buddy Bob was talking to me yesterday and telling me that the one thing that stuck out about Anzalone for him was Anzalone was always late to the party. And what did he mean by that? Like when there was a tackle, the other guys would tackle him and then Anzo would jump on the pile. So he was always just a step or two late getting to the tackle or being there, to help with the tackle. And my buddy, he's ready for Anzalone to be done and us to move on to younger guys. And he doesn't like the whole contract situation. I don't care for the contract situation either, but I do believe he deserves more money. And as a fan, I would love to see Anzalone retire as a Lion, and I would love to see him for 1 or 2 more seasons, maybe not as the starter, maybe as the primary backup. But I just don't see it happening from a team standpoint. I think they have clearly stated that they are ready to move on after this season. And I do have to get going, by the way.
Yeah. So give us your final 15.
Yeah, my final 15, man. Hall of Fame game tomorrow. So I'm guessing we won't be on tomorrow, and probably not on Friday either, because you'll be coming back from the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, so if I don't leave tonight, which I might, then I'll get on tomorrow morning. No, I won't get on tomorrow morning because I would have to leave at like 5-6 a.m. because I've got an appointment at noon. But yeah, let's not plan tomorrow. We probably won't plan Friday. I might bring my stuff with me and do something from the hotel, though. We'll see.
Okay. If you do, let me know. But I will see you guys all on Monday. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with us every day. I got to go open the shop, so I will talk to you guys on Monday.
All right, Eric, take care, man. Have a good day. So I wanted to share this one last thing with you guys. Well, a couple things. Final thoughts on Alex Anzalone would be this. I see a lot of comments in the chat, like, he signed a contract and, on-year contract. I believe there's something to that too, but this is the NFL, so this is nothing new. This happens all the time. And I would say that if I was Alex Anzalone, put yourself in his shoes for a moment. You got a young family, newborn baby. I think it's like 6-7 months old now. You shatter your wrist last year, and now you're going into a season with no guaranteed money. We don't know what his financial situation is. We don't know how extended he is or isn't. But to say that you're going to go into your final year of your contract and no guaranteed money. Now, I'm sure there's an injury guarantee in there, but that's what he's worried about. I guarantee it. That he's worried about playing this year. And if he suffers an injury like he did last season, and he's not going to get paid any more money than he's already been paid. And whatever that injury guarantee is, it's not 100% of what's owed on the contract. And that's been one of the largest bargaining chips or issues with, some of these rookies this year and some of the second round guys too, is like Shamar Stewart in the first round, he's a first round draft pick. One of the reasons why he didn't want to sign is because of the injury guarantees or the other guarantees in you know, towards the, you know, the fourth and fifth season or the fourth season. So I believe that sparked part of it is that he has a worry about injury. He doesn't want to play and not be paid or get injured and put his body on the line and then not get paid. So I think that's where I'll leave it. And if I was Alex, I would want to be paid too. But I got a funny I want to share with you guys. So I mentioned to you guys, I don't know, was it 4 weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago, that the Google car was coming around. And you know, so they're updating the maps. And I literally just got done doing a show. And Megan comes, you know, and tells me, hey, the Google car is going around. So what do you think I did? Well, I went out there to try to get my picture taken with the Google car and to be on the maps. So now when you know, if you were to ever search up my house or look at the area, this is what you'll see. I did the Motor City mullet, man. I ran out there with that thing on. And now we've got forever advertising there with Rockhound on the back of the old tailgate truck. So we are now forever ingrained in Google Maps history. I wanted to be the funny guy, right? But now we are forever on Google Maps. Lions are supported. Rockhound is supported. The Motor City mullet is supported. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I think it's hilarious. All right. I really don't have anything else to share today. We'll be getting into some videos and stuff later on. I'll let everybody know. I want to say Friday morning. I should be able to do something. It'll be a later night, you know, after the game on Thursday night. But Megan and I will be there. I've got a couple of procedures on Thursday, the old colonoscopy, endoscopy procedures down at Cleveland. And hope everything goes well. But that's my plan between now and then. And then we're going to hit up the Hall of Fame game. And we should be back over the weekend. So maybe Friday morning we'll jump in. I doubt after the game I'm going to be able to do anything. It's possible. I'll bring some stuff with me just in case. But we'll see how I'm feeling, because I'm going to be a warrior myself and do prep and then get these procedures done. And literally within a couple hours, we're at the Hall of Fame game after being under anesthesia. So it'll be a different experience for me. Let's just put it that way. I will be front and center, front row in the end zone, right in the corner. So if you're looking at the field, you'd be the top left corner or the bottom right corner. If you're looking at if you're looking on your TV, I'd be the bottom right or the top left. I don't know which way that they're going to be, filming the video. I think that we're on the visitor side, if you will, because I think that side, I'm sitting next to all of the Hall of Famers. So right next to us is all of the Hall of Famers, where they have this executive, like, VIP buffet going on, and there's some really, really cool people up in there. So that's where I'm sitting. I will be dressed out. I'll probably wear the Motor City mullet. I'll have the Rise and Grind chain on. So we'll be there. Look for us. I'm sure that they'll try to get us on TV. So that's where we'll be on Thursday. You guys have a wonderful day. Go One Pride, go Detroit Lions. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks again for all the donations this morning. You guys are awesome. I appreciate each and every single one of you, whether you donate, whether you show up and listen now or later. You're all part of the greatest Detroit Lions channel on the planet. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
The podcast.
Shout out to Rockhound Detroit Lions, man.
There
One
you go.
pride.